So about this deep dive request, I gotta say, nitrogen wasn't exactly shouting fascinating at first glance. I mean, it's everywhere, right? We're breathing it in all the time.
Yeah, most people don't realize how strange that is, though. Nitrogen is everywhere in the air, but you rarely find it in the Earth's crust. It's this weird paradox, super common, but kind of hidden at the same time.
Right. And on top of that, we need it to live. DNA, proteins, all that stuff is built with nitrogen.
It's true, it's essential for life as we know it.
But then, it also shows up in explosives.
Yeah,
What's the deal with that? Talk about a split personality element.
that's a good way to put it. And the key to understanding this Jekyll and Hyde thing is understanding nitrogen's chemistry, which is what this whole Wikipedia deep dive is about.
Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing that really struck me was how nitrogen was discovered. It wasn't just one person, but a bunch of scientists, all sort of stumbling across it around the same time.
Absolutely. It's like they were all chasing the same mystery from different angles. Rutherford gets credit for isolating it in 1772, but Scheele and Cavendish were right there with him, doing their own experiments, finding the same weird gas. Shows how science really works sometime.
And speaking of weird, can we talk about the name? Noxious air just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Thankfully, nitrogen won out in the end, thanks to Cheptal, who realized it had a connection to niter, saltpeter, which is a key ingredient in gunpowder.
Gunpowder, huh? Okay, maybe noxious air wasn't too far off after all. But before we get into all that, what makes nitrogen so unique chemically? What's going on at the atomic level that gives it such range?
It all comes down to one thing. That triple bond between two nitrogen atoms sharing electrons is kind of chemistry 101, right? Most elements, they're cool with sharing one or two electrons to create a bond, but nitrogen takes it to the next level. Triple bond all the way. It's the strongest connection you'll find in any diatomic molecule. Well, second strongest, but you get the idea.
Okay, triple bond, got it. But how does that actually affect how nitrogen behaves? Why is it such a big deal?
That bond strength is why nitrogen gas at room temperature is so darn stable. Almost antisocial, you could say. It takes a ton of energy to bust up those bonds. So in most situations, nitrogen is pretty chill, doesn't react much, like that friend who's happy just doing their own thing.
So it's like this super stable element happy to just hang out by itself.
Yeah.
But if those bonds ever do break, look out.
You got it. All that energy, it's like boom, fireworks. That's what makes it so useful, though. All that potential energy just waiting to be harnessed.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What kind of useful are we talking about?
I bet you encounter it every day. Food preservation.
No way! You're telling me nitrogen is why my chips don't go stale.
Exactly. Those bags are pumped full of nitrogen gas, keeps the oxygen out, which means things stay fresher, longer, chips, pretzels, even coffee beans.
Wow, never would have guessed that. What else? There's more, right?
Oh yeah, tons. Remember incandescent light bulbs?
Those old school ones that got super hot? Yeah, I think I've still got a few around somewhere.
Well, they use nitrogen too. Inside the bulb, around the filament, helps keep it from burning out too fast.
Huh. Okay, so snacks and light bulbs. What else has nitrogen been up to?
How about this? Protecting your data. Nitrogen plays a key role in fire suppression systems, especially for IT equipment.
So like server rooms, all those computers.
Exactly. You don't want water spraying around in there if there's a fire, right?
Yeah.
Nitrogen puts the fire out quickly, no mess, no damage.
Nitrogen. Silent guardian of the internet.
Hmm.
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
And that's not all. The whole stainless steel industry relies on nitrogen. Seriously, it's how they make that shiny, rust-proof metal. Controls the other elements during the manufacturing process, you see.
Okay, this is getting out of hand. From keeping my chips crunchy to holding up skyscrapers. Is there anything nitrogen can't do?
Well, it can't defy gravity, but it can help race cars and airplanes push their limits.
Now that's an interesting twist. How so?
They inflate tires with pure nitrogen sometimes. You know how regular air pressure changes with temperature, big problem for performance. But nitrogen, much more stable even when the tires heat up.
So it's all about control even at crazy speeds.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But earlier you mentioned a dark side to nitrogen. What did you mean?
Right. It's important to remember that nitrogen, for all its good qualities, needs to be respected. It's powerful stuff. And like any powerful tool, it can be dangerous if you're not careful.
Okay, that makes sense. So what should we watch out for?
Well, we talked about how unreactive it is, right? That's great for food, not so great if you're in an enclosed space with it.
Asphyxiation hazard. Got it.
Exactly. And scuba divers, they have to be super careful about nitrogen, too. It's all about pressure.
You're talking about decompression sickness, right? The bends.
Right. When you dive deep, nitrogen dissolves into your blood because of the pressure. come up too fast, all that nitrogen, it forms bubbles, just like a shaken soda bottle. Really bad news.
Yikes, that sounds rough.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
And speaking of things you don't want to mess with, we should talk about liquid nitrogen for a sec.
Oh, yeah. That stuff is crazy cold, right? You were saying they use it for some pretty high-tech stuff.
Yeah, cryopreservation, for one. Freezing cells and tissues at super low temperatures, like hitting the pause button on life. Huge implications for medicine and research.
That's incredible. And they use liquid nitrogen to make ice cream too, right?
Yep. Makes it super smooth, apparently. Big trend with fancy chefs. I wouldn't try it at home, though, if I were you. Liquid nitrogen can be seriously dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Okay, duly noted. What are we talking about here, danger-wise?
Well, first off, frostbite. That stuff is so cold it'll burn you on contact.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. What about, like, internal damage? Is that a risk?
Definitely. There was this case, a woman had a cocktail, right? Made with liquid nitrogen. She ended up needing emergency surgery.
Oh, well. Okay, so amazing for science, fun for dessert, but maybe not for cocktails. Good to know. So where are we with nitrogen now? It's everywhere and nowhere, super stable, but with a wild side. You can do amazing things, but you got to respect it.
It really does show you how something so essential to, well, everything can be surprisingly complex. And speaking of complex, we haven't even gotten to nitrogen's role in the environment yet, have we?
Right. Everyone's always talking about the nitrogen cycle, but I'll be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on the details. What's the deal with nitrogen and the environment? Good guy, bad guy, what?
Like most things in nature, it's not that simple. Nitrogen is, as we've established, a key ingredient for life. Plants, animals, all need it for their proteins. So you'd think, with all the nitrogen in the atmosphere...
It would be an issue, right?
Yeah.
It's literally all around us.
Exactly. You'd think so. But here's the thing. Most organisms can't actually use the nitrogen gas in the air directly. It has to be fixed, transformed into a different form, before plants can take it up and, actually grow.
So there's this whole other process going on just to make nitrogen useful for life on Earth.
Yep. And that's where the nitrogen cycle comes in. This whole journey nitrogen takes through the environment, changing from one form to another, all these different players involved. It's actually pretty amazing when you get into it.
Okay, you've piqued my curiosity. Give me the rundown. What happens in this nitrogen cycle?
All right, so picture this. Nitrogen gas, hanging out in the atmosphere, minding its own business. Can't be used by plants in that form, so it needs help. That's where nitrogen-fixing bacteria come in. These little guys, they convert atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia, which plants can use.
It's like nitrogen's own personal chefs, making it palatable for the plant world.
Exactly. But that's not the end of it. Then there are other bacteria, nitrifying bacteria. They convert the ammonia into nitrates, which are even easier for plants to use.
A whole team effort, passing the nitrogen baton down the line.
And once those plants absorb these nitrogen compounds, they use them to build their proteins, all the stuff they need to grow. Then, of course, animals come along, eat the plants, get the nitrogen that way. It's a whole interconnected system.
This incredible web of life, all fueled by nitrogen. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. But remember how we said nitrogen has that dark side? Well, that applies to the environment, too.
Uh-oh. Here it comes.
Yeah.
What's the catch?
As crucial as nitrogen is, too much of it can mess things up. Throws the whole system out of balance.
How so?
Think about fertilizers. Farmers use nitrogen-based fertilizers to help crops grow, which how we feed everyone, right? Problem is, when there's too much nitrogen, it runs off into rivers and lakes.
And then what? What's the problem?
It's like dumping fertilizer into a pond. All of a sudden, the algae go nuts. Huge blooms, sometimes even toxic.
I've heard about those.
Yeah.
Algal blooms. Bad news, right?
Yeah, and it gets worse. When all that algae dies, it decomposes, which uses up all the oxygen in the water, creates dead zones where nothing can live.
So it's this delicate balancing act. We need nitrogen, but too much throws everything off.
Exactly. And then there's nitrous oxide. It's released from, you guessed it, fertilizers. Also, livestock waste is a big source.
Wait, nitrous oxide? Isn't that laughing gas?
The one and the same. But while it might be fun at the dentist's office, it's no joke for the environment. It's a potent greenhouse gas. Way worse than carbon dioxide, actually.
So nitrogen is mixed up in climate change, too.
Unfortunately, yeah. All that excess nitrogen we're pumping into the system, it's contributing to the problem. It's complicated, to say the least.
Well, we started with chips and explosions, and now we're talking about the fate of the planet. It really is amazing how much one element can tell us about, well, everything, how interconnected it all is.
Right. It's a good reminder that even the simplest things can be incredibly complex. And understanding those complexities, that's how we're going to solve the big problems.
Couldn't agree more. And for our listeners, if you found this whole nitrogen deep dive as fascinating as we did, I highly recommend checking out the Wikipedia page yourself. There's a whole section on the nitrogen cycle, goes into even more detail. It's an amazing journey, trust me. But that's it for us today. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, and remember, there's a whole universe of knowledge out there just waiting to be explored.